In this episode, we're going to talk about using the models you got and how World Eaters became Blood for the Blood Gods Rhino Rush.
From buying your first box of miniatures and paints to being a gentleman or lady on the gaming table, we have you covered.
We'd like to take a moment and thank our sponsors, Dragon Slayers, The Forge Hobbies and Games, and Rexer's Lasers, and the Patreons that support the channel, plus you for taking a moment to watch the channel. Hey everybody, and welcome in. So if you watched previous episodes, we did a live report of World Eaters versus Eldari, and we had it was a very interesting match. If you hadn't seen it, it is on one of the VODs. You can go watch it, but I just kind of wanted to take 10 minutes, go over the thought process, how I put it together, and then why I think it works without using any of the new bigwig characters. So we've got Angron, we've got Lord Victus, we've got some 8-bound, we've got all the stuff. We're just trying to get them painted. As you know, channel's busy, things are running, so they're not ready to be put on the table because they're not painted yet. But what I did is I wanted to run World Eaters in 10th, so we took and I was like, all right, what do we got? And kind of went through the list of everything that we had to put it together, which we had Karn, we had some Executioners, we've had some Terminators, we've got some Berserkers, and we got some Rhinos. And I'm like, all right, let me just kind of put some things together. So started out with 5 units of Berserkers from that standpoint. And then we had some Terminators, and then we got the Rhinos. So ended up short spill of the list was the Rhinos were the big key, because if you're playing a match with all the deadliness going on, you got to have some kind of protection, and Rhinos aren't the greatest. But where these Rhinos came in play is, and I didn't realize this at the time, but we're going to kind of flip to the World Eaters rules here. So I pulled them up. So basically we roll the dice. So when you're rolling your 8 dice, you're looking at the end of each turn, or beginning of each turn, you're looking to take and put together some of their abilities, and depending on what you've got out of your 8, you can take and do it. So I rolled the 8 dice. I got it. Basically 2 inches of movement models in the unit is actually pretty good, and then the 6-up feel no pain is pretty good. So I ended up with those 2, and that's what I kind of started out with. Well, what I didn't realize is if your Rhinos naturally are loaded up with the Berserkers, and I'll dig into the list, but this is kind of how it got across the table. There, it's a 14-inch move, and I ended up rolling 6s, but I mean, even if you roll 3 or 4s, and you take the average roughly, you're moving 18 inches across the table, 17 to 18 inches, which means if you're 10 inches up, it's only 12 inches to the center. There's only 22 inches and 22 for a 44 if you're doing Dawn of War. Now, if you're doing some of the others, it's a little bit longer, but still 18 inches because it's 9 and 9. Like, you can do all kinds of different things. You're able to really get everything halfway up the table. And if you get everything up halfway up the table and have a 6-up feel no pain, which, surprising enough, when there's a bunch of wounds, mortal wounds, and so forth being put out, it makes the Rhino a little tougher just because of his toughness. So we'll actually take, let me do this, and I'm going to go pull the Rhino, because that's the first piece of this puzzle that works. So I got to go find it right quick. Won't take me a second. Here it is. Boom. So we'll flip back to that. So the Rhino, if you look at it, the Rhino 12-inch move, so it's going to get the 2, so it puts it 14. It's T9. It's 3-up save with 10 wounds. It's OC2, which is kind of shocking. Really doesn't matter as much, but it does have an OC, which is a big key component. It's got armor tracks for its attacks, and then it's got its combi weapon. It does blow up, and it repairs 1. So even if you take and you've got the feel no pains, you get it across, it's going to heal 1. It does have some armor tracks, which is cool for the 1 CP strat, and I'll explain how that's neat. So if you rush 5 Rhinos, and they're loaded out with Berserkers, 5 Berserkers, 5 units of 5 Berserkers, it's a threat overload, especially if you just advance them all. You're not really worried about their gun output. You're just worried about board placement. Because the way the game plays now, it really plays in the center. And so getting to the center is a big, huge thing. And then being able to apply pressure. And yes, I know there's tons of gun outputs and people will disagree and say, oh, there's so much shooting they can take all the rhinos. A T9 Rhino is not as easy to pick up when you're running into well-balanced lists. Now, if I'm running into an all anti-vehicle list, 100% it's going to be difficult. However, if somebody's bringing an all anti-vehicle list, they're not bringing enough shots to handle the horde army. So just based on people building lists, they have to be balanced. So it's not going to be just all anti-infantry. With the 3-up save, most of the AP you're hitting on there, getting the 3s. If you can get them behind the buildings, you got covers. So you're negating the AP 1s because AP is a thing now, or not a thing now. It really reduced it. So you're able to kind of negate that. And then having the 6-up feel no pains, meaning, oh, you got 6 through. I rolled that. On average, you only got 5 through. It's taking one extra gun if they want to pop the tank. And if you do things right, then you just pull the berserkers, you set that unit out, and it's on the ground. It's okay. But it allows you to be mid-board with everything. So going back into the old way of playing the game, you're mid-board with everything. Then it kind of goes back to the other key component. Let's see here if I can do this right. We're going to go back to the top. So actually, I'm going to go to the berserkers. No, we're going to go back to the top. Because basically that's the first piece of the component. The other piece of the component of the list, so I'll give you the list right now. It's 5 rhinos, 5 units of 5 berserkers. It's Karn and 2 executioners. Those are going to go in 3 of your 5-man berserkers, 2 demon prints, and then 2 chaos bonds. And the chaos bonds are just to run off and go grab an objective, so that you can take and have. I think they do have an OC1, if I'm not mistaken. I know I checked this the other day. You would think my brain would remember these things, but I'm all the time. Yeah, we'll kick to that right quick. There's OC1. I don't even use them for the damage. They're move 8. If you get the 2, they move 10. If you advance them, one model can regain D3 lost wounds. They a 2-man unit running up to go grab the objective that doesn't have any pressure on it because you've applied pressure everywhere else. So they're really good. 65 points for the 2 models. So they're really good at just giving you that a standard 5-point scoring. So that's one of the reasons that they're in there. The other reason is I had to figure out how to get to 2,000 points. When you go 5 rhinos, 5 berserkers with 3 characters, 2 demon prints, you're only left with a little bit left. So you've got that set up. You come across, and the 5-man term. The 5-man term are really just kind of a home field protective. They can be put in deep strike or so forth from that standpoint. So we're going to go back to this because a lot of different things. Here we go. Cool. Boom. So when you're looking back at this, any doubles give you the 2-inch movement, which is really, really big. So your rhinos are moving 14. Your berserkers are moving 8. Your chaos bonds are moving 10. Your demon princes are moving 10 because I have them without wings because you're bringing them for the 4-up invul that'll apply to all the berserkers when they get out. So if you think about, all right, here we go. We're advancing up. We've got 2 inches to our move. We're moving 14. We're moving 10 with the demon princes. We're rolling our advances. We're getting halfway up the table. Everybody's getting position. Threat overload. Here it comes. What you're looking for in your second roll is you're wanting to get any double, so you get the 2. The feel no pain. I cannot state how actual big it is. Just to negate wounds in general is really, really cool. If you spike, it's awesome. If you get the average, it's really good. If it just bellies up, it bellies up. But that's another just 2 dice. So you got 8 dice, so you're just looking at double and double. And then the other one you want, and it's the one that's the real tricky one, is, let me see if I can make sure. Boom. It's double 6s or triple 4s, so they can charge and advance. So that's the hard one to hit on turn 2. If you can, I'm actually okay with one of the rhinos getting popped. Maybe 2 of the rhinos getting popped. I try to set it up so they can land on objectives, because if they're on objectives during this roll, you can actually, because you have berserkers on it, you get to reroll some dice to help you try to make it. So you're looking for a triple 4, double 6s. Out of the 8 dice, and that is the big key component in turn 2, which in the game I was able to hit, because then you get advance and charge, but you've got the 6-up field no pain for protection, and then you have the 2 inches of move. Now the other one you could take and do, it's kind of hard, is if you have a double 4s. No, it's a double 4s. Which one is it? It's the total carnage, double fours or any triples. So if you had double sixes, double fours, you could take total carnage, but because it's fight on death, you're going to be fighting first, but it's really for the second phase when it's on their turn until your turn to be able to get the fight on death. But really, it's the charge and being able just to swing. So you're able to take and move your berserkers out 3 from the Rhino. You're able to have their 8-inch move because it's 6 plus the 2, and then they're going to get the advance, and then they're going to get the actual charge. So if you get the 8 plus the 3, that's 11. You're already at mid-table. You're going to get to roll your advance, so we'll just give you another 3. That's 14. It's only 22 inches to the board edge. You really can actually, on a Dawn of War, be across the table by turn 2 with everything. And then based on the way Overwatch works is you can't be shot before or at the end of your movement. So if you take and you make sure that you're hiding on those 2, then they can't shoot the Overwatches. So it really allows you to have so much movement to really get the right placements you want to avoid Overwatches if possible. And then so you've got all those pieces. I haven't even used CP strats, so in the game I wasn't really paying attention to that. It was just crazy on the way it hit. On the Demon Princes, I took -1 damage on one of them, and the other one for a 6-inch for to heroic for 0 CP. So I wasn't for sure where I'd be spending the CP. Again, this was a trial run with it. I was actually really, really shocked. Karn works. He's got his 8 attacks in a unit. He gives rerolls of 1s and 1s. You get to the bodyguard unit at the end of the charge phase. He will destroy 1, but if he's in a Rhino, he can't be out on the table, so therefore it doesn't hurt. So try to make sure he's in the Rhino until it's time to come out, charge, and really hit. And then, of course, he gets to fight on death just naturally. The other one is the Executioners. The Demon Prince, because of the 4-up invul, because I have 2 of them, and because you got 5 units of Berserkers coming out of the Rhinos, you want to have 2 so you can kind of cover the board with our 6 inches based on what you're hitting. Because if you can hit with everything turn 2 and hit with all the Berserkers, just hit with it. I mean, it is total carnage when you hit with that many Berserkers on turn 2. Most likely, they might have 2 CP to interrupt, but it's very unlikely if they're trying to do some protections or different things, what they're using. And there's no building of CP to be able to have that 2 CP interrupt. So that's really good there. The Demon Prince has devastating wounds on the charge. Not even worried about its combat. It's really there for the 4-up invul to just make the Berserkers feel better. If you can get the auras placed right and do the placement right and apply the pressure in 2 points, you're going to have 4-up invuls for all of them and a 6-up feel no pain by taking and hitting those doubles if you're able to do that. So on average, the Berserkers are actually living pretty good from that standpoint. Let's see here. We're going to go down to the next one, and that is going to be... No. There it is. Master Executioner. So I've got 2 of these, and they run with 2 Berserkers. They have devastating wounds and precision, so they can kind of go after the characters if you can get lucky with that one, if you hit a unit that's got a character already in it. But the other thing is they have fight first ability when they're leading a unit, and each time that makes attack against a character, you can reroll the hit and wound rolls. So the unit has a character, that's the ones they're wanting to go after, so that you have precision, and that model gets to reroll the hit and wounds. So therefore, you're able to get all those through and try to get the precision to kill the character off. Plus, you have fights first. So if you don't kill it all, it's really hard for someone. They got to fall back with a unit because if they charge in, you're fighting first still. So you're going to get to swing first. So 2 of these, I actually almost like 3 of these. Karn's really good, but I've actually contemplated dropping Karn to run 3 of these with the 3 Berserker units just because fights first is a big thing, and when you can have a unit that naturally has it, that is able to strike first, hit, and then stay there, and there's not much left, or pile into something else. The rebuttal, again, a 4-up invul, so no matter what you pile into, if they go, oh, it's -4, it doesn't matter. It's 4-up invul and 6 that feel no pain. You're able to actually apply a lot of pressure to force them to really figure out how to deal with everything that's coming at you. And then the last thing of that is your Khorne Berserkers. You've got those there. There's just a ton of attacks. If they're outside, they get to do the Storm Rage, so they're able to move based on being shot at or if a unit's killed. But the way this one works, that really doesn't come into effect because you're using the Rhinos to deliver them. And then once you get to where you want them, you're being able to do the advance and charge, having the 2-inch movement, so they're coming out of the Rhinos and they're being delivered almost halfway across the table to hit and kill. The other one that I had in it, and it was interesting because it didn't do a lot, was the Terminator Squad. I really didn't get to play with them that much in this in that game. If you go back and watch it, I kind of used them to be a toughness 2-up save and a 4-up invul to kind of hold a home field objective from that standpoint. I'm not saying I don't need them, but it's interesting to see. It might be worth another Rhino and another unit of Berserkers, maybe, depending on point cost. I think it's going to be about the same, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. So something to look at. The terms can be good because you could take a deep strike with them. Sorry about that, folks. But they were in there, so they're part of it. But it really didn't apply to anything. I think, to be honest with you, they took some shots from the Wraith Knight, picked up a lot of them, and then they're kind of there to the end, just kind of being they're just bodies, very expensive bodies. That's why I'm not sure on if I like them or not and where I'd use them. But kind of going over and recapping it, like I said, it's 2 Demon Princes, Karn, 2 Executioners, 5 Berserker units of 5-man, 5 Rhinos for them to go in, and then a 5-man Terminator Squad for just kind of sitting on the backfield. I guess I could put in Deep Strike if I wanted to. And then 2 Chaos Spawn, and the Chaos Spawn are really there just to kind of run out and grab an objective or do something to be, I'm applying a point scoring factor that you got to deal with. But by the way, if you're dealing with that, you're pulling away your resources or splitting your army up that's about to just get hem-hawed with a 5-5-man Berserker units. With 3 of the character supports and then 2 of the Demon Princes supporting them. So that is the what I'm going to start calling the Blood for the Blood God World Eater Rhino Rush, because it kind of worked. I was actually shocked. If you hadn't seen it, go back and watch it. It's very interesting by turn 2. The game turned out to be really great. I won't spoil it on that. But when you're getting into it, it's like, oh my gosh, this is not going as planned. I think even people in the chat were like, this is not what we anticipated. They figured it was going to be over by turn 2 and I was just going to be dead. And I 100% agreed, because that's what I thought was going to happen. But we wanted to try it just to see. So it definitely was interesting. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for taking the time to watch it. Leave a comment below on your thoughts. If you think, oh, that's not really viable, then tell me. If you're like, oh, that's neat, I'd like to try it. Or if you have some minute changes you'd like to do to it, put those in there. I love reading them. I have responded to every comment since we've started. I've made sure I've tried to hit them all. I don't think I've missed a single one, because according to my YouTube thing, it doesn't let me see those. It lets me see the ones I missed, and I haven't got any that I've missed. And as always, thanks to the Patrons, thanks to our sponsors. If you don't mind and you've liked this, hit the subscribe button, because it greatly helps grow the channel. And if you want to do more, we do have a link to the Patreon. If you want to join the Discord, we've got a link there as well. With that, everyone have a wonderful and great day.